Hi there folks, and welcome to another episode of Michael's 3D World. Today we're going to be tackling the noisy fans on the CR10. I've come up with a solution that I think is going to work pretty well. Follow me along as I change out these fans with some really quiet Noctua fans that move more than enough air than the current fans are currently moving. Plus we're going to reconfigure a few things. Now I'm going to have a disclaimer at the beginning of this video. For the faint of heart, don't do this. If you don't want to take any risk at all in life, do not do this. If you're a risk taker, jump in and follow me on this journey, and let's see if we can make this thing a little bit quieter. And you hear this guy behind me here. This is an older Ender 3 that doesn't have the silent board. I'm coming for it. I'm going to quiet that thing down. I've got a new 4.2.7 board. We're going to have a video on that coming up. So what the hell was that? Hair in my mouth. Anyway, we're coming for that. We're going to put a 4.2.7 silent board in there, and we're going to quieten this thing right down, right on down to the ground. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to show you what I did here. I'm going to show you a thing I created, and it's going to be on Thingiverse. You guys always check out my comment, or not my comments, my comments down below, and follow the links to find all the products that I use to make this happen. They'll all be in these links. Don't be afraid to use my Amazon affiliate links that I leave down there. If you go through that link and you buy anything else in the Amazon world, I'll get a little commission for it, which helps fund me keeping stuff like this information coming to you, and content and all that kind of fun stuff. So I'd much appreciate it if you use those links. Doesn't cost you a dime. I get like a 3% reward for driving you folks to the Amazon website to buy these things. So, or anything else you buy through that link as well. So I appreciate it if you guys do that. It's awesome. Don't be afraid to give me a thumbs up or subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. So let's get into this thing and show you what I'm doing to modify the power supply with all these fans in it that's making all this noise in my basement. Okay? Because I now have 4 machines down here. If I don't quiet them all down, it's going to sound like a windstorm down here. So, and it's fun just to tinker, isn't it? I enjoy just tinkering. Some people says, you know, leave well enough alone. I'm like, no, that's not me. Sorry. Have you just met me? Maybe you have. I mess with stuff. So this is Michael. Let's jump in right now. My golly, that little Ender 3 is noisy. Anyway, so here's the normal bottom plate. It's on the bottom of your power supply. Sits on there like this. Pulls air from the bottom of this thing that just sits about that far. Literally sits. Let me show you. This is ridiculous. Here's your original bottom plate, right? This sits literally just barely off the bottom of the table. So these little feet here, see how thick those are? Those are right there. And you see how this has barely got clearance here, barely pulling any air. I mean, you restrict the intake of air. As you can tell by looking at the fan here, most all these fans have little directional arrows, right? So what happens, this thing is sitting on the bottom with this, so it's got some restriction here already, right? And then it sits in line with this. And it says, hey, try to pull air through all this. This is fun. And, you know, it worked. It would work for the lifetime of the machine, most likely, without any issue. But this is how it would normally go together. And on top of that, well, let's be honest, folks. That bugged the living crap out of me, because you got a grill grate over a grill grate, blah, 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 blah. I don't like it. And the other thing I'm going to take note of here is, guys, look right here. This is where you turn your power from 220 to 115. If you're in the US, that's fine. Once you set it, and yes, this sat up in here, so you could switch it back and forth. It had access so you could switch it back and forth. Well, guess what? If you plan on never running it on 220 in another country, or on 115 in another country, depending on where you're viewing this video from, you don't need access to it anymore. So I made a slight modification. And it's so slight. So I made this part here on this will be available on Thingiverse. I designed it, installed it. I've got my 92 by 14 Noctua silent fan. These things are so quiet it's not funny. Alrighty. Now, as you may already know, or may not already know, most of your fans inside in your box here, in your, I don't know, control box, are 24 volt. These Noctua fans that I'm installing are 12 volt. So I'm going to have to use a buck converter to take the voltage from 24 down to 12 volts. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that right now, and I'm going to show you the wires you need to use to make this happen. So if you have a little bit of soldering skills, and I'm going to show you some wire splicers as well that you could use instead of soldering, and we can get this job done relatively quick and effectively. So here are the two fans that we're going to replace the existing fans with. So as I showed you on here, this is one of the fans that kicks on and off as the power supply gets hot. It'll kick on. What I'm going to do, instead of pulling air through this vent and blowing it out this end to cool that, I have planted this thing directly over the top, and I'm going to pull air down through here and here inside the box, because there's plenty of venting on the outside of these things. There's tons. This thing's perforated, for gosh sakes, with holes. So we're going to use this fan to pull air in through here, blow directly down on our motherboard, and it's also going to cool this power supply. But the cool part is, now this power supply thing only cycled on and off when it hit temperature. I'm going to have it so it's running all the time. So I'm going to have, instead of two fans running all the time and one fan kicking on and off, I'm going to have two fans still running all the time, and they're going to be the quiet fans, these Noctua fans. And like I said, follow my links in the description below. You'll see exactly what I purchased, and we're going to show you right here how we hooked it all up. And it's going to be pretty sweet. But this fan here is the one that goes. It's kind of hard to see. I'm going to get you down here, but you probably can't see it. Inside your control box, and maybe you can. There's a fan clear back here where my finger's at, and it's this size fan here. It's a little 40 millimeter fan. Well, it's back there, and it makes a lot of noise. It does move a lot of air, but what that fan does is pull air out of the box. It's trained to take air and pull air in through these outside vents here, and through the whole thing, and just get the exhaust air out, the hot exhaust air out. This one here, so that's what I'm going to do with this fan right here, is going to replace that one back there. But it's also a 12 volt fan. These are 24 volt. I got to knock the voltage down to 12 volts with the buck converter. The cool thing is, since I'm going to have these running at power on all the time, I just need to pull the power from one of these fans that are existing, run it through the buck converter, and then out to the fans, and then I'm done. It's just that simple. So I'm thinking about actually taking, I got this fan here, these wires right here. Let me see if I can get you in the shot. Make sure you're in the shot. I got these two fans two wires right here coming off this fan that's blowing across your board. So instead of blowing across my board, I'm going to take this fan right here, and it's going to be blowing right down on top of it. Yeah, it's going to be warmer air possibly, because this thing's going to generate a little bit of heat when it's under use. But then again, it's not enough. We're going to be moving a lot of air across these heat sinks. We're not going to do any damage. Now, like I said, for those of you, and as my disclaimer, those of you that don't want to do this, don't do it. You can watch this video, and it can be for entertainment value only. But if you want to make your machine a lot quieter, this is what you can do. So, in order to get my power, I'm going to go ahead and cut these two wires here and run these two wires into my buck converter. We're going to do that first. I'm going to show you now what a buck converter looks like. This is a buck converter. What this does is it has electricity goes in one side, and it shows a positive in, negative in, and it shows a positive out, negative out. And in the meantime, it's taking 12 volts, and in this little pot right here you can turn. It's called a pot. It has a little screwdriver head on it. You can dial this in so you can have juice going in. You put a voltmeter over here, and then you adjust your the pot until you get your desired voltage over on this side. These will be in a link below. Check it out. This is where I went to buy mine. You can buy yours there too. They're really reasonably priced. Let's say it that way. Okay, now what I want to show you is I've removed the fan that was between your display board and your motherboard. I removed the fan that's on a bracket like this, taking it out. I cut the wires. I'm not going to use it anymore. I've taken those wires and ran them into my buck converter right here. So here's my buck converter. That's BUCK converter. And I put the positive on the positive end, the negative on the negative end. The black is negative, the red is positive. We're going to solder those two things in place right now, and that's where I'm going to get my power for my fans to run both of them and knock it down from 24 volt down to 12 volt coming out of here. Just like that, we got the power connected. Now the cool part is I can turn the machine on. I'm not worried about anything burning up right now. I'm going to turn the machine on long enough to get voltage to this guy, and we're going to adjust this little pot screw like I said until I get 12 volts coming out of this end. I'm going to get this in the shot now. Hopefully I can do this, but hopefully I got enough hands to do it. Okay, now we powered it up. As you can see on the buck converter, this little orange light comes on, means I've got power. Now I'm going to take my negative and positive here. And here, guys, don't get electrocuted doing this. So let's see if I can get this all in the shot. This is going to be difficult. Oh, this one's already got 12 volts. This has already been knocked down to 12 volts. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this up and down just to show you. I can't show you if my hand's in the flippable way, can I? Let's see here if I can get in a different position. See, I'm going to turn this little screw. You see, I'm turning it the wrong way because it's going up in voltage. I'm going to turn it back down to where it was because I already had this one preset, apparently. There, we're right down at 12 volts. So we're safe to hook on anything onto this end that I need to run off a 12 volt. And we'll be good to go. You guys, whoops, I just knocked you guys on your head. You guys may or may not be able to hear this, but listen to that. That fan, this fan is on, this printer is maybe a month and a half old, tops. But that's the fan that's at the back of my box, pulling air through. That's the only fan that's hooked up and running right now. And you hear how noisy it is? This fan has already gone bad. So that's another reason why I'm doing these changes. It's like, I got to replace that fan. Why not quiet down the whole thing? You can hear it changing tone. It shouldn't be making all that noise. That's all I got to say about that. So, anyway, that's the noisy boy there. Now, we've got our buck converter ready to rock and roll. Let's go ahead and hook on some more. Now what we need to do is hook our fan wires up to this. First, let's power it back off. So, with the power off, now, on Thingiverse, I'll show you where you can get these. These are a really cute little buck converter housing that you can put your buck converter in when it's all said and done. Like this. Oops, get it the right way. Ah, come on. There you go. Anyway, there's a housing here that you can put your buck converter in to protect all the stuff from touching anything it's not supposed to touch. Alright, you guys hear that noise? This is your before sound. Pretty wicked, huh? And here comes your after sound. I know it's not a fair sound comparison test just because I got this Ender 3 howling over here next to me, but this is the same camera shot in the same position. I got light in here so you can see. That's the fans turned on now. Right now you can see both of them are running. And this thing moves a ton of CFM. There's a lot of air moving through this fan right here. So the cool part is, okay, let's catch up with where I'm at. You know, you saw me solder this end, adjust the buck converter down to 12 volts. On this end, I've got the two wires coming out, and with the Noctua fan, I had this adapter here. So the cool part is I could plug, and there's a splitter that also came with it, which is really cool. So I was able to, so if something was to happen to one of these fans, I got a splitter that splits it up into these two here, and then one goes to this fan, one goes to that fan. So if I have a fan that's burning out, I don't have to do any soldering or anything else. I just unplug, plug a new one in, but these fans will run for absolutely years of service without any problems. They're $15, and that's for a reason. That's because it's not a $3 fan. The other, like the $3 fan basically that was in this thing originally, is already making noise and already went out. This one, you know, is not going to go out within a month and a half or 6 weeks of usage. Now, keep in mind, I do run my printers basically 24/7 when they're in operation, so that's a lot of hours. Most people may not run theirs that long. I do prints that are, you know, 3 to 4 days at a time. I've just completed a print on my other CR10 that actually ran an entire, like 940 grams of product, and it ran flawlessly and got it all done complete. So that's the long and the short there, folks. So now we've got recap. We've got the Thingiverse. This will be on Thingiverse. I created and designed this to be on Thingiverse. Bolts right in using the original screws. With your fan will come what's called fan screws, I guess you might call them. There'll be a little package like this. I use those to come through my plate and screw into the fan to hold it to this piece. And then this is blowing up this way. So when you're looking at your arrows on your fan, there they are. It's blowing up this way. And then same way with this fan in here, that fan is blowing out. It's exhausting the hot air out the back. And that's moving a generous amount of air. It's pretty cool. Pun intended. So we got that all bolts in. Like I said, I cut the fan that used to be right in this area between the two boards here. I took it out. I used the wires from it to go into my buck converter, and then this little menagerie going on here. That's it, all said and done. Easy peasy. Now, one thing I do want to remind you guys is not only do you want to have the power off, when you work on this thing, unplug your power supply so you don't have any hot spots in here that's going to give you trouble. But yeah, look at those fans. Those fans just coast because they move so smooth and easy. But yeah, there's not running. Again. Oh my God, the noise. So let's put this thing back together. But now I got to find a home for this, which is not a big deal. The cool part is it has a little orange light on it, a red light. I'm going to put this red light so I can see it. So I'm probably going to mount this up in here somewhere like this, and I'll be able to see these red lights through the vent holes there on the side of the case. And what I'm going to do to hold this in place, you guessed it, I'm going to put a little hot glue on the one side here. I'm going to mash it down, and that's going to hold that thing in place. No problems whatsoever. Cool? We good with that? All right, let me get the hot glue gun out and glue that in, and then we'll slide this back, the power supply back in place. All right, we got the buck converter glued down inside here. Just a couple of stripes on each side. Stuck it down. It's not going anywhere. It's firmly fixed in place. Now we're going to take this, make sure none of the wires are getting pinched, and we're going to put our power supply back in. It's ready to reinstall now. And this only was held in with 2 screws. All right, we got it all back together. All we had to do is put in a few screws. We'll power it up. And the nice thing is those 2 fans are running all the time. They were going to run all the time anyway, 203. You can see the little butt converters all lit up right there. But I've got you guys, this GoPro is very sensitive to sound. I'd be surprised if, when I edit this, I'd be surprised if I could hear these fans over the Ender 3 that's running next to this machine. That's as noisy as it's going to ever get. It's not going to get any louder than that because those two fans run all the time. And I tell you what, I put my hands right here, and I put my hands out the back here where the other exhaust fan is. There is a ton of air movement around this thing. This thing is not going to get hot at all. It's a beautiful thing. I'm pretty pleased with that. I think it's time to get it busy making another print because I've got another CR10 that needs the exact same thing done to it. I'm going to start another print right here to make me another bottom plate so I can make that adaptation to the other machine and get my fans on order to do the second machine. I'm loving how this is working. These are going to be so quiet when I'm done. Except for you, you noisy animal. Alright, folks, now it's all complete. This thing is so, you can't hear this one over that one, that's for darn sure, that noisy Ender. We're going to put an end to the Ender noise, I guarantee you that. That's coming up real soon. But this thing is so quiet now. It's like a whisper. And we got to print I'm actually using it right now to print my conversion piece for the bottom. That'll be on Thingiverse for you guys to put in the other CR10. But yeah, this thing is moving lots of air. Things are running beautifully. You can see the little butt converter light right here and through the side. I like how that turned out. But this thing's awesome. I'm loving it. Anyway, don't be afraid to try something. Like I said, if you're squeamish about touching or taking apart your new printer or even your old printer, don't do it. Don't do it. Why would you? So, but if you're like me and don't have a care about if you mess it up or not, but risk reward, folks. Is the risk worth the reward? In this case, heck yeah it is. This thing is awesome now. I'm going to have this thing so quiet down here that I'm going to turn around and have all 4 printers running before too long, and I'll be like, did I forget to turn it on? Oh wait, they're all running wide open. Anyway, you guys get out there and have some fun. This is Michael. This is Michael. How do I normally do this, guys? This is Michael, and I'm out. No, the camera didn't freeze.